10 shocking facts you didn't know about World War II. Here are some truly surprising and lesser-known facts about World War II that often escape popular history. 1. The youngest WWII soldier was only 12 years old. Sergei Seryozha Aleshkov was a Soviet soldier who served from age 6, though he was more of a mascot. However, Calvin Graham enlisted in the US Navy at age 12 by lying about his age. He served on the USS South Dakota, was wounded at Guadalcanal, and earned a Bronze Star and Purple Heart before his mother discovered where he was and revealed his real age. 2. More Soviets died in the Battle of Stalingrad than Americans in the entire war. The Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943, resulted in approximately 1.1 million Soviet casualties, killed, wounded, or captured. By comparison, total US deaths in World War II were around 405,000. This single battle exemplifies the staggering scale of the Eastern Front, which many in the West underappreciate. 3. A Japanese soldier continued fighting until 1974. Lieutenant Hiru Onoda, stationed in the Philippines, refused to believe the war had ended. He continued guerrilla operations for 29 years after Japan's surrender, finally surrendering in 1974 when his former commander flew to the island to personally relieve him of duty. He wasn't the only one. Several Japanese soldiers held out for decades. 4. The Nazis produced a Jewish ghetto propaganda film. The SS forced Jewish prisoners in Theresienstadt concentration camp to participate in a propaganda film called The Führer Gives a City to the Jews, showing fake scenes of happy, well-fed Jews. After filming, most of the actors were deported to Auschwitz and murdered. The film was meant to deceive the International Red Cross. 5. The shortest war leader fought the tallest Stalin was approximately 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters tall, while Charles de Gaulle stood at 6 feet 5 inches, 196 centimeters, a full foot difference. Their post-war meetings were reportedly awkward, with Stalin allegedly feeling intimidated by de Gaulle's imposing height. 6. Hitler's nephew fought for the United States. William Patrick Hitler, Adolf Hitler's half-nephew, son of his half-brother Alois, emigrated to America and joined the US Navy in 1944. He served honorably and was even wounded in combat. After the war, he changed his name and lived quietly in New York until his death in 1987. 7. The Allies planned to use fake icebergs as aircraft carriers. Project Habakkuk was a British plan to build enormous aircraft carriers out of pykrete, a mixture of ice and wood pulp that was incredibly strong and slow to melt. A prototype was built in Canada. The project was eventually abandoned, but Churchill was so enthusiastic he reportedly demonstrated pykrete strength by shooting it in a bathtub during a meeting. 8. Poland had a bear as an official soldier. Wojtek was a Syrian brown bear adopted by Polish soldiers in Iran. He was officially enlisted as a private, given a serial number, and carried ammunition during the Battle of Monte Cassino in Italy. After the war, he lived out his days at Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland. There are statues commemorating him in multiple countries. 9. The first American serviceman killed in Europe was by the Soviets. Captain Robert M. Losey, a U.S. military attaché, was killed in Finland on April 21, 1940, during a Soviet bombing raid in the Winter War, before the U.S. had even entered World War II, and when the USSR was still cooperating with Nazi Germany under the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. 10. Coco Chanel was a Nazi spy. The famous fashion designer Coco Chanel had an affair with a German officer during the Nazi occupation of France and worked as a spy, codenamed Westminster, for German military intelligence. She even participated in a mission to broker peace between Germany and Britain. After the war, she fled to Switzerland to avoid prosecution, though she was eventually allowed to return to France. Bonus shocking facts. Nazi leaders on drugs. Hitler and many Wehrmacht soldiers regularly used Pervitin, methamphetamine. The Blitzkrieg's success partly relied on soldiers staying awake for days using these drugs. The Great Escape executions. After the famous 1944 POW breakout from Stalag Luft III, depicted in The Great Escape, the Nazis recaptured 73 of the 76 escapees and murdered 50 of them, a war crime that led to executions after the war. Japan almost had separate occupiers. The Soviets wanted to occupy part of Japan after surrender, similar to Germany. Only US insistence kept Japan under single occupation, fundamentally changing its post-war trajectory compared to divided Germany and Korea. These facts reveal the war's complexity, strangeness, and the incredible human stories that often get lost in discussions of grand strategy and major battles. Which of these surprised you most? Or would you like to know more about any particular fact?